Hey everybody, welcome to the weekly video on Quilling with Jess. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm so grateful to you being a part of the all access tier of my Patreon. These weekly videos are one perk of that membership, and I'm so grateful that you've joined. I hope that you enjoy the class that we have today. Take your time, enjoy yourself, and be sure to jump back onto Patreon afterward to share a picture or any information about how it went, who you're giving it to, where you're displaying it. We'd love to share that with you. So continue to watch these weekly classes to kind of get more skills and more tips for paper quilling and paper art, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy crafting!
Right, everybody, thank you for joining our weekly video on Quilling with Jess. Today we're going to be making this adorable little dinosaur. He is not too difficult, but he does have several kind of parts that just require a little bit of extra strips. So please do refer back to your supplies sheet for this week so that you have enough strips to make this dinosaur. So before we get started, I will go ahead and go through, as usual, the tools that you're going to need today. Firstly, you're going to need your slotted quilling tool. You can't really see the slot on mine because it is quite thin, but it is a slotted quilling tool. We're going to need tweezers. Any kind that you have would be good. I like these needly tweezers. They're just a little bit more appropriate for getting the tiny pieces glued without getting it all over your fingers, but any kind of tweezers that you have will work. The circle sizer today is highly optional. I will do a mixture of using it and not using it. To make this dinosaur, I didn't actually use it. I just kind of eyeballed how big I wanted things to be. But if you prefer to kind of have a more precise measurement or them not to like explode and get too big, then the circle sizer might be helpful. We also have our school glue. As always, I have the needle nose bottle for my school glue. But if you have just a regular bottle, that'll be fine. You can also create a puddle on a paper towel or in a cup that you can just dip your pieces or use a toothpick and dip that for application, whatever you would like to do. I also, as in previous videos, like to use this clear tacky glue when I have made each of the pieces and I'm gluing them to the backer. So I use the school glue for gluing these pieces, creating them. But when I put them on the backer, I like to use the clear tacky glue. You don't need to, you don't have to have it. It's just a personal preference. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll put him a little higher up and pull over our card backer. Now, I know in past videos I have said, don't fold your card. Don't fold your card because it's going to be more difficult to get things to lay flat and glue them and things like that. However, these cards come pre-folded, so it wasn't an option. And also because they come pre-folded and they're in a pack together, they stay really flat, so they're actually quite fine. So let's first start with gluing together the strips that are going to be needed for the body, for the neck, for the tail, and for the head. And the reason we want to go ahead and glue those first is we want them to dry a little so that when we go to open them up, they won't be stuck together. And the reason that we're gluing strips together to make these is because we want them to be nice and big and full. So for the body, for the belly, I'm going to use 3 full strips. And I decided to mix it up today. So I've got this peach color and then 2 blue, the same blue as before. And when I say glue these together, I don't mean like make them too thick. I mean glue them end to end. So I'll demonstrate. We're going to put a little dot on the end of one, take the end of the other, and press it together. And just overlap them a little. Nothing too wild, but also, you don't want them to be tip to tip. You want them to overlap just a little. Alright, and try to make sure that they're straight, so that way when you coil them, they'll coil as one strip. And then we'll do the other one as well. Okay, end to end, and we'll just glue that down. Yeah, you see that they're pretty straight. They're not uneven. That looks like one long strip. Okay, so put that aside. The next ones we're gonna get is 2 strips each. So each, the neck, the head, and the tail are all 2 strips. Now, we're doing this last one. Oh, make sure it's straight. That was not. Okay, so make sure they're all straight. Set them aside, and we're going to let those all dry and solidify. And while we do that, then we're going to go ahead and do the legs. So I have chosen to do each of these as half strips. This time, when I did the previous example, this is a half strip, this is a full strip, just kind of for reference for you. So if you decide you want to have a thinner or thicker coil, so I'll leave that up to you. I personally am going to keep going with a half a strip for each leg. So I'm going to take a full strip and tear it in half. So for those of you who are new to quilling or just need a refresher, I'm going to demonstrate. We are going to take our slotted quilling tool. You're going to locate that slot on your tool. And thankfully, we can top load these. You don't need to thread it. So there's an opening all the way at the top. We'll slide it in, and then it's loaded. I like a little anchor at the top, but you don't necessarily need it. It's just for security in my mind. All right, so the hand position we're going to use is a finger on the bottom, your thumb on the side. I like it wedged in there, but not pinched. All right, and then once you're ready, you're going to start to turn that towards you, keeping that hand hold. Take your time, don't rush. We're going to quill it all the way to the bottom. And when you get there, we're going to locate that slot again, because there is a risk of, if you just pull this off, if it gets stuck in that slot, sometimes it'll accordion out when you pull it off. So I like to push with this hand, with the right hand, and pull with the left hand. So that way it doesn't get stuck. And then you just pull it off. All right. Now this is the first one of those, optional circle sizer moments. I will demonstrate for this one, so that way our legs are both the same size. So we've got our little coil here. Let's try to make it as big as it will go. So we're going to put it in the 10, and you just set it in there, and then it bounces out. That's okay. See, this happens to everybody. Don't worry. I actually, I think it was saying it didn't want to be in the 10. So we're going to try. The next one over is the 12. That's actually a little bit better for us. Like I said, we want to get it pretty stretched, because it's already going to show up a little bit small, since we're not doing a full strip, which is fine. Alright, so pick that up with our tweezers. Try to keep it the same size. Take our glue, give it a little dot on the inside, just like that. and then we're going to close it, pat it down a few times, and then we're going to pinch both sides. So you're going to have it here, and then you're going to pinch both sides. Not squish the whole thing, but you're going to pinch, and then we're going to twist it. So think of making this look like a foot and an ankle. So, or if you want to think of it as making it an S shape, because it is more an S shape. Alright, we'll leave that to the side. So that's foot number 1. Let's do foot number 2 the exact same way. I did decide to make the back leg a little bigger. It's the same size strip, but I just let it get a little bigger and crazier, so that way it'll maybe look a little different. Alright, so those strips that we glued together at the start should have had enough time to dry. So let's locate first our body, our belly strip. So that will be the longest one that we glued together because it's 3 strips long. Now, whenever we're coiling up strips that are different colors and we're deciding which arrangement we want, which color in the center, which on the outside, whatever you put on the quilling tool will be the center. Because you're coiling it first, it'll be in the middle. So if you want the peach in the middle, that's what you're going to coil up first. If you want the blue in the middle, that's what you're going to coil up first. So I want the peach in the middle. So we're going to load that up. Finger on the bottom, thumb on the side. And this is quite a long strip, so take your time. You don't want to have to recoil it too many times, from letting it get loose or losing control of it. So be sure to just take your time, keep a good control, keep that wedge. And then we'll keep going all the way to the bottom. Okay, when you get to the bottom, you're going to do something new. I like to tear off the bottom of these blunt edges. And the reason for that is for gluing purposes. When you glue these edges down, the blunt cut edge that they come with is more noticeable once you've glued it. However, if you have this little frayed, torn edge, once you've glued it and it dries, it is much more hidden. So if you care about that, you want to worry about that aesthetic, then go ahead and just tear off a little bit at the end. And we're going to take this off the same way as before, but much more carefully since it's much bigger. We don't want it to explode now. Okay, so there's your coil. And we are going to make this as big as you like. So you can use the biggest hole that comes on your circle sizer. This one even still is only, is that 40 millimeters? Yeah, 40 millimeter diameter. So we'll give it a shot, see if it's as big as we want. It might be as big as our strip wants today. We'll see. So you can always tap these when they don't open up as much as you want to see if they'll open more. I like to put my tweezers in there and just kind of give it a little swirl. Sometimes that'll loosen it up, especially if there's glue bits that are keeping it from opening up. Okay, so with our circle sizer, that got pretty decent. Let's take it off and see if we can get it a little bigger without. And this can be frustrating, if you are worried about picking it up or it, the strips are a little bit crazier and so you don't really have a good control. I think this is going to be pretty decent. So once you have it about the size that you want and the shape that you want, There's some kind of bent spots there. Then you'll use your tweezers for sure. Grab the outside, and then I like to grab near the middle. Doesn't have to be the absolute middle, just near there is fine. And we're gonna put some glue on there. Now, normally, most times when I'm making cards or hangers, I like to make all the pieces first and then glue them down. However, this body has such a potential for getting all over the place that we want to go ahead and get it glued now, and then it can dry while we're doing the other bits. Alright, so if you'll notice too here, the center is kind of congregated over to one side. We're going to do the same thing this time. So we've got our hold here pushing all those layers to one side, and that's how we want it. Alright, so you can use your school glue here. This would be a really nice time if you had made a puddle. You just dip it in. But I myself am going to, as noted, use that clear tacky glue. And I'll show you, for those of you not using a puddle, kind of the placement that's going to give us the best hold for a shape like this. So really the goal is to just make sure all of the layers have some bit of glue that are going to keep them in their proper place. So we'll start near the center coil and just make sure all of that has some glue. And then I might get a lot of the outside, more than normal. Because what's going to happen is this coil isn't going to want to stay with the, focus on one side. It's going to want to be all in the center. And so we're trying to keep it glued to a certain part of the page. Okay, let's just get a little bit more. Okay, probably the most glue you'll ever use on one item for most of my quilling videos, but it'll be worth it. Alright, so then, try to turn this so you can see. We're just gonna find where we want it and set it down. And then I am gonna speed up the video just briefly because I'm gonna be sitting here holding this down for a while. So you will want to hold this for probably close to a minute, maybe even more, depending on how your glue is doing. And if you use school glue, you definitely want to sit and hold it for a while. So we will speed up and be back in a minute. Okay, so now we're back. Let's go ahead and continue on. Let's go ahead and glue these legs down just so that they're on there. We can kind of see some placement things for future areas. So again, I'm going to use the clear tacky glue. Use whatever you have. I'm going to put this bigger leg in the back. I think that'll probably look a little less weird than having a giant leg in the front and a little leg in the back. So I'm going to put a little bit on that tip there where I want it to connect. And then I'm just going to put one line down the middle on the bottom. And then just fit that against there. Alright. I'm going to take the little one, and this time the glue is going to be on the inside of that tip and one line down the bottom. Oops. There we go. Alright. And then we'll fit it on the other side. There. Okay. Let's put that aside. Next, let's go ahead and make the head. Let's get our quilling tools back out. Alright. I am going to actually switch it up this time and have the peach be on the outside. Alright, so let's quill up this whole strip just like before. I'll tear off that end. And again, this is where you can decide if you want to use that circle sizer or not. I'm just going to use my hands a little. And I want this outer color to be fairly thick. I don't want to make it super loose like we did the body. So this is about as big as I'm going to have it get. If you are using circle sizer, I can tell you it is about 15 to 16 millimeters. So if you have a circle sizer using the 15, will probably be about right. Let's put a little glue there, and we'll close it. And now this time, just like with the big body piece, I like to fold it closed with my tweezer. If I was pinching it, like we did the feet, I wouldn't be as worried, but this way I don't compromise the shape of that coil, but I also get it to glue down really well. Alright, so we'll put that aside. Next, let's do the neck. This one I will put the peach on the inside again. This is all just personal preference. Just have fun with it. Make it the colors that you like. Make it look funny. I mean, we are making a dinosaur out of paper, so it's kind of silly. Alright. Tear off that little bit on the bottom. And this time we will open it up and let it get pretty loose, because we need the neck to be long. Let's see. So you can kind of start to open it up and then pinch it a little so you can kind of see how long the neck might end up being. I think this will probably be fine. It's probably going to have a little shorter neck than last time, but that's alright. And that's always due to, how much does your paper open up? Are you using the same length of strips each time? Because sometimes the same packages of paper, well, not the same packages, but the same width of paper can come in different lengths. Alright, so we'll pinch it and then just give it a little bit of a twist. Just a little. Not super harsh, but we want it to kind of fold in with the head and then into the body. So I think that'll work for us. Alright, so put that aside. And the last body strip, I'm gonna do the blue on the inside again. Just switching it up. Now we're even gonna go in for that pinch, or go in for that glue. So let's glue it up. Close that. And then instead of pinching both sides, we're gonna pull this center over to the side and pinch one side. Alright. And then we're gonna get really aggressive with our pinch. So we wanna basically flatten where the most coiling is. And then we're just gonna play with it and get it to the curve that you like. So you've got it all pinched here. And we'll just keep twisting it till it's as curved as you like it. Alright. Okay. And for the very last thing we'll make before we organize everything on the sheet together is that eyeball. So on your sheet of supplies, you'll see that it required a black and a white 3mm strip. So the strips that I'm using is about 7 centimeters, and I'm going to actually get rid of some of this one. So yeah, so both of them, somewhere between 6 and 7 millimeters. Now this one you can see I've already cut in half lengthwise. This one I have not, because I wanted to demonstrate what I mean. So I've got this 3mm strip piece, and the reason I want to make it thinner is if I make this eyeball the same thickness as these strips, the card really starts to get height, and honestly, it just kind of looks bizarre. So I've found that cutting these much thinner then makes them look a little bit more like they belong. So we'll just very carefully and take your time. Doesn't have to be anything perfect. We're just gonna try our best to cut this in half. Now you're more than welcome to skip this step and just do the normal width eyeballs. You're also more than welcome to use googly eyes. I know a lot of people like googly eyes, and they're not, an easy supply to keep around. I personally like to stick with the paper aesthetic, so I make my own eyeballs for all my animals and creatures. Alright, and then we're just going to glue these end to end. And if they do end up kind of being a little bit different thicknesses, that's fine. Just make sure that they are even on one side. So, like, have the white and white or white and black be at the top, even if there's a little layover down here. Alright, we'll give that a second to dry while we put the rest of the body together. Alright, so this is where you decide kind of where you want them all to be, how you want them to sit. I'm going to start with the tail. And when I glue it, I'm going to really squish it because I don't want it to like try to expand on me a ton. Alright. One thing this tacky glue will teach you is patience. It takes forever. Okay, there we go. Alright, we're going to put a little on the end because we want it to connect well to that body. And then we'll do a strip down the bottom. And then if there's any extra wide areas, go ahead and just give them a little as well. And then just find wherever you like it and set it down. This shouldn't take a long time for you to need to hold it, so honestly just kind of put it down and let it dry. Alright, and then next we're going to do the neck. Now, with this, my hope is to use some of the curve of the neck and the body together. So I might actually even put it a little farther down if I want. This one, I put it really far down, just however you like it. So I think I'm going to do it like that, just a little bit extra. So then, what that means is you're going to put a little bit of glue on the inside curve that's going to hold to the body. Okay? And then I'm going to put some glue kind of across as we go, because we want to make sure all those layers get some glue. Alright, now turn it so you can see. Okay, and then just set it down. And, fiddle with it as much as you need to get it the width that you like or whatever. But don't fiddle too much because you'll start to just squish it and get it really saturated with glue. So, and yes, I do like to make my bodies really round. I just think they look funnier. They crack me up. So, if you want yours to look more svelte, do that. But if you want to have a good laugh every time you look at these, make them a little chunky. Alright, now, for the head, we're going to do a cross pattern. So we're just going to go across once and twice. We'll call that good. Alright. Now this one, I like it to be up over the top, but if you want it to lay flat, go ahead for that. I just think it looks a little bit better being kind of on top of that tip. So then it's pretty flat, but not flat flat. Alright, so that's that. Right, our last piece that we're going to quill is the eyeball. So remember, whatever you start with is going to be the part that's in the center. So I want the pupil in the center. I'm going to quill that up. And I like to teach this last because now you've had plenty of practice with quilling thicker pieces. So now when you have this teeny tiny thin piece, it's not quite so intimidating. Alright, put a little glue there. Now we are going to glue this while it's still on here. And this is called a tight coil because we don't allow it to loosen up like those. So we have the glue on there. We're going to glue it while it's still on here. We're just going to keep twisting and squish that glue around that coil. So that way it's really well glued and solid. And we'll take it off the same way we would any other coil. I also like to take my tweezers where they squish this down. Now, if you want more white to show, just use more of a white strip. If you want less black or more black, just alter it in that way. So however much of a color you use is how thick it's going to show up. Alright, so this one's pretty simple. We're just going to take a little glue right across the bottom and then find wherever you want that pupil to go. I like them a little high but way on the edge. And we'll just set it there and let that dry. There you have it. Now, if you want to add like a mouth or, any other kinds of things, or if you want to add greenery, make it look like it's eating something, that's cool. But there you have it. This method of opening them up more by eyeball does mean that sometimes they show up different sizes, and that's cool too. Variety is definitely what makes art, or one of the things that makes art pretty fun is that it doesn't have to look the same every time. Not everybody's has to look the same. And switching up colors can make something look completely different. So, I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was a fun little activity, good birthday card for those kids in your life. And we'll see you next week in the next video. Happy crafting!